Hey fellas, Neon here. This video is part 2 of the 2-part Summer 2022 seasonal anime podcast. So if you haven't seen part 1 yet, you can click the card in the top right corner or the link down in the description to watch it. If you enjoy the podcast, please hit the like button, head on down to the comments and tell us what you think of the season, and subscribe for more podcasts and future videos. Now, back to your regularly scheduled cringe. Crunchy, since this is obviously a crunchy-coded show, I'll let you take when will Ayumu make his move.
You know, honestly, even though it was a crunchy-coded show, I was, like, not super mid on it, but, no, it wasn't really... I didn't like it as much as I expected to, oddly enough. So it's this rom-com basically about these two middle schoolers. There's Ayumu, the boy, and then the girl, who I always want to call Ayumu because I'm used to the female protagonist's name being in the title of the show. But she isn't Ayumu, and I never remember her name.
Urushi.
Harushi?
Urushi.
Urushi. Okay. So Urushi. Basically Ayumu is like okay, so they're both shogi players. Well, Urushi is primarily the shogi player. She's really into it. She's really good at the game, whereas Ayumu, he's only really playing it to beat Urushi, because he wants to beat her at shogi in order to ask her out, because in his mind, you know, for whatever middle schooler reason, if he doesn't beat her in shogi, he, you know, he isn't, I guess it's like a pride thing.
To sit at her side. Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure if it's a deserving thing or if it's a pride thing. Like,
it's a middle school autistic with love thing.
That is the accurate way to describe it.
It is the manga mechanic of this is the reason why these two characters who obviously are in love with each other cannot date yet. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a hook to keep readers coming back every week.
Well, what I like is that it's at the very least a mechanic of the story instead of just they're that fucking oblivious. You know, at least it's like obviously the girl, I mean, they're a little oblivious, right? But it's at least like there's a reason why he can't ask her out, as dumb as it is, and at least the guy admits to himself, you know, hey, I'm in love with her, and the girl is pretty much, like, everything short of outright admitting it to herself. So, it's at least, it's a more tolerable combination than most, but at the end of the day, it is still one of those lasting an infinite amount of time, will they, won't they shows, so, you know... It is what it is, which I don't think that's necessarily averse to being a good show. You know, obviously there's My Senpai is Annoying, which I still maintain is amazing.
Well, I feel like this show is following a very strict formula, whereas My Senpai is Annoying was not following a formula. It was less structured, like any episode could have its own self-contained story without having to follow the strict formula of, like, for this one example, this one's always got to be about the Chad Ayumu complimenting Urushi with the straightest of faces, and she's getting all flustered, but the Ayumu, being the stone cold killer that he is, will deny any feelings until he beats her at shogi. Yeah. He'll just straight up be like, yeah, you're cute, beautiful, just seeing you smile makes me happy. And he won't even... He will smile sometimes, but when he compliments her, he'll just say it stone-faced. Like, no emotion at all, just to throw her off her game, throw her off the trail.
Yeah, My Senpai was definitely more freeform than that. It is a little charming, you know, it is sometimes doing things for me, like the main character dynamic, but I mean, I guess the main thing is just that I never really got hooked on the characters throughout the entire first episode. I was just sort of waiting for that moment where it, like, finally clicks with me, but it just never came, man. It was a little disappointing.
I just like how one of the themes on Mal that it has it listed as is romantic subtext, as in, like, you know, basically we have to, like, read into it a bit more. But I don't think there's much to be like read into this, you know.
That is main
No, they're
text.
pretty fucking explicit about it in the first, like, 5 minutes of the show, where he's like, where he's internally monologues, no, I cannot confess my feelings until I beat her ass at shogi.
Like, where the subtext at, bro?
The fact that she looked like Takagi-san and the guy looked like I had the main character from a harem, it just threw me off.
That's
The whole
what
thing.
I was thinking the same
I mean,
thing too.
Well,
It's the same art
that is
style.
that's because it is the same author.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
For both
Yeah,
of
it's the
them?
same author.
This is the same guy who made Takagi-san in the more recent. Fuck, what was it called? In the Heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Lolly Ninja show. He made both of those, and this is his third thing to be adapted into anime. And I'd say it's definitely less of a Takagi-san, more on the Tsubaki-san in terms of quality, where I wouldn't call it bad. I have seen bad this season. This is not bad. This is just... This show is exactly like what you think it is. It's a basic supplier of dopamine hits that you can definitely like come to see this guy say nice things to this girl and she gets all flustered and it's real cute and you get your high, but then you let it pass through you. It's not something enriching like a Takagi-san where you actually see their relationship develop over the course of the show.
To me, it's just like going back to My Senpai, because I like talking about that show. Like the characters were just better in that. Like they were very easy to get into. For this show, it feels like I have to struggle to actually care about these characters at all. And
I mean, this show is literally just Takagi-san, but with the roles reversed.
Yeah, I was about to say it's kind of like that. But I can't stop thinking Takagi-san when I was watching this, especially when I'm just looking at the girl because it looks very similar.
He does have the same penchant to draw his
Yeah.
characters, mainly his girls, with the largest foreheads imaginable.
Jesus Christ.
He's just like me, for real. Big
For real, he just like me.
And needs all that forehead space for the biggest brains inside them heads.
Thanks, bro.
I do think Ayumu is incredibly stupid for not taking the obvious invitations that Urushi, all the hints that she drops to be like, yeah, if you were my boyfriend, that'd be pretty cool, I guess. Like,
Oh yeah.
it would be the worst thing in the
I
world.
mean, what? At that point, they would just end on episode 1 if that happened. Episode 1 done. Anime over. Their boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, you know what? Make it a short film.
Facts. Like a short.
There
film,
are
like
a
20 minutes.
few scenes from the show that I did like when the main character, right, he's complimenting Urushi with all these similes, and it's like, yo, this dude's simile game is on point. He should be a writer. He's like a poet. And that scene was pretty fun just because the similes got so odd. It wasn't like unfitting similes per se, but it was just like really almost poetic or something like that. I don't know. And then there's like this one moment where Ayumu does a little fist pump when she gets to go under the umbrella with Ayumu, which I also thought was adorable and was just like a small moment full of life. There are little bits of charm in this show, but I mean overall it's just kind of like take it or leave it.
I think it's become a rule in rom-coms about autistic people that they have to dance. Because like, at first it was, what the fuck was it called? A harem with their ED, and now these characters are dancing in the OP. I think it's just a rule at this point.
I honestly do not remember the OP at all, so...
I don't remember the song at all, I just remember the dancing parts.
Well, I think that's about all I have to say about the show. It's basically well written, but it's just fine.
It's just another like romance anime, really. It's just if you want to like just fill that void of like Tagaki-san, you can just watch this. That's really all I got to say about that.
There isn't much of a void of Takagi-san though. There's 3 seasons and then we're gonna get the movie soon.
Bro, you do not know the fans of that show. Some of them like they just beg for more.
I mean, they even got what like most manga don't get, a continuation story about the characters from when they were young, now as adults with their own child.
That is true.
Takagi-san is going there? Huh?
It's been there.
Well, yeah, they do. Well, spoilers, but not really, because if you know the manga exists, then that's a spoiler. There are moments in the anime which take like the most briefest of scenes and chapters from the sequel manga where they're adults and have a kid. They adapt them, and just as like a little teaser, because like you like manga readers will know that it happens, but they just want to see it animated.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know it was that long spanning of a story.
But yeah, if you this definitely diet Takagi-san. So I suppose, like Austin said, if you're that much, if you've consumed literally all of Takagi-san content in the world and you're dying for your fix, this is like the closest you'll get.
I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Austin, you can go ahead and take My Isekai Life.
My Isekai Life. Gotcha. So, again, another Isekai. Whoop-de-doo. Big surprise. Everyone, saw that coming. That was a question for y'all.
Oh.
I thought you were being facetious.
No, I was actually, but yeah. So basically, it's this guy that he's summoned to another world, obviously because of Isekai, and he while finishing work from home, he gets transported into another world. So what he does in the other world is basically he's like kind of like a monster tamer, where he tames all like the beasts and the monsters and the slimes around there. Really, I would say that's a different concept from other Isekai I've seen, but still, I don't think it's too original or too unique for me to be like, all right, this is something I'll probably will keep watching though. But yeah.
If you want to know my opinion on this show, that is my
same.
opinion on this show. Okay, so
Bro, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Coach. I know you have very bottled up feelings about this show, so I'm just gonna say my piece real quick and then let you take the floor. I literally only have 2 notes from the entire first episode that I watched, and when I say entire, I mean first 5 minutes, because after the Black Summoner fiasco of 2022, I'm just so fucking done. I'm done with. I'm over it. Like every new isekai gets fucking 5 minutes to prove why it's not shit, and then or else I'm out. And then I gave this one the benefit of the doubt too. I watched 10 minutes of it, and I was like, "Yep, this is nothing. Goodbye."
all right,
Yeah,
so
same thing. I saw this guy with part of slime. I was like, goodness.
Yo, is this
it's
slime
the same
anime?
thing from
What?
the other show.
Slime anime?
like-
What? Crazy.
Literally,
No, I
last
saw-
block,
I could've
we had Black Summoner who had a super powerful slime at his side, and now we have another isekai about another generic dude having, but this time it's 5 super powerful slimes at his side. Wow.
Wasn't there 2 recent isekais? There's one about this blonde witch looking girl who tamed slimes, and then there was little kids who tamed slimes.
The blonde witch one is I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. I don't know. Wait, no, hold on. I think I remember that one. I don't remember what it's called.
I think that was the name.
Well, the first one was definitely maxing out my level, but the second one, I know what show you're talking about. I do not remember what it's called.
Was it called something By the Grace of the Gods or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, it was called that one. Okay, yeah, By
Okay.
the Grace of the Gods.
What's that?
Generic isekai.
I think slime taming has become its own subgenre of isekai exclusively because Dragon Quest.
Probably so. By the grace of the gods. I'm actually looking at this. What is this? What is this?
Generic
It's
bullshit.
probably trash.
I've seen 3 episodes of that. Don't watch it.
Oh, I watched, but I watched it. I liked it. I gave it
You liked
an 8
it?
or something.
An 8? An 8?
Bro,
Yeah.
this is actually one of the isekais that are actually close to a 7 rating on Mal, which is crazy. Although I don't trust Mal scores that much, but still.
Close to a 7 rating, you say?
Yeah, 6.96.
That's not a good score.
Yeah, I'm waiting for
Yeah,
the next
anything
season.
below a 7 average on Mal is almost guaranteed to be bad.
Yeah, but it's still close to a 7 though for an isekai that's meant to be garbage. I mean, I don't know. That's all I'm gonna
Trust me,
say.
It's good. It's
Good?
Okay,
Anime of the
but
year.
Shield Hero has
Better than
over
Attack on
an
Titan.
8. So
Yeah.
Bet. Dude, I'm gonna binge this, Loot. I'm gonna make a video on it too, calling it Anime of the Year.
oh my god.
The new season's coming out soon.
Sheesh,
You
bro.
ready?
They get in a new season too, bro. It must be goated. It must be goated.
Okay, so at the end of 2021, I know we're going back a bit here, but at the end of 2021, I watched Mushoku Tensei, and it showed me what isekai could be. It is like easily, like probably within my top 10 favorite shows of all time. But ever since then, isekai has been cursed for me, because every single time it is going up against Mushoku Tensei in my mind. Now, not it isn't automatically unwatchable just because it's worse than Mushoku Tensei. I like No Game No Life. That's an isekai. But No Game No Life had its own priorities, right? It had its own thing going on. It is not even comparable to Mushoku Tensei. But my problem with all these isekai is that they all basically do very similar things to Mushoku Tensei. And every single time, they do it, but worse. It's the same goddamn show over and over again, and they keep on messing up in every single obvious way that they could, over and over again. It's like I'm in this nightmare that's recursively looping in on itself. It's the same goddamn thing over and over again, like a hall of mirrors. It is hell. This is hell. I am in hell right now. Like, the example is right there. Just do Mushoku Tensei. Just change a few things, come up with your own cast of characters, but just do that. Just don't fuck up in every obvious way. So that is why watching isekai for this podcast has become a nightmare for me. Where it's like every single season, there's like at least 2 or 3
to 5
isekai.
new ones.
Yeah, like 3 to 5. This one had like, oh god, like Black Summoner. This one, I give up on listing them all. There's so many. Parallel World Pharmacy. Why do we need so many? They're all the same show. They're literally all the same. I refuse to believe these are even written by different people. They're just the same thing.
Bro, I mean, I kind of get it, but I really don't know what you were waffling on about. It's not as bad as I think you kind of described it there.
Nah,
I mean, this show is.
It's shit. It is shit. It is garbage isekai, but it's not like the worst thing on the list. As like for
I'm
it
not
being an
ranting
isekai.
because this particular isekai is bad. I'm
Yeah.
ranting because I am fed up with this bullshit. This is
I
merely the
think I
straw
understand
that
what you're
broke
saying,
the camel's
Crunchy.
back.
It's not that the show is the worst thing ever. It's that we get this exact show every season, like
Yes.
at least 3 different times, and they're all of the same quality.
This is just
whereas the
one
actual
of the
good
many.
ones like Jobless Reincarnation or spoiler alert, Isekai Ojisan are like the rare exception.
That
Yeah.
show is goated.
And we'll get to that soon.
Yeah, but this is not the worst isekai ever made. I'm sure I could find many worse examples. It is merely the straw that broke the camel's back. It is the fucking same as the rest. I would like to bookend this rant with watch Mushoku Tensei.
Oh god.
All right, that's about all I
Maybe
have to say.
someday. Yeah, that's all I got. Anything else?
All right, listen,
No.
Neon, when season 2 comes out, we need to do it for the podcast. Come on, man. It's so good.
Yeah, we'll add it.
Ah, hell yeah. Like, listen,
Yeah.
Rudius may be a pedophile, but at least he has a personality.
Oh god. Not good, fam.
Why?
Yeah. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I suppose. Here, Loot, you can go ahead and get the new actual hot spiciness of the season, Vermeil and Gold.
I want to hear your opinion on this, Lou. I sincerely, I know we watched this together. I want to hear your opinion on this.
Okay, I'm not good at remembering names, but I remember when this kid, he ended up summoning some succubus, and he ended up going to school with her, and then she do random things. But when I watched this, I did not expect it to be a succubus. I was watching it with Austin, and I was like, damn, they're opening the gates of hell. I'm seeing horns. Then I see like a half naked woman on the screen. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Lou's over here like freaking like, oh my god, what the fuck? There's like, tits on the screen. I'm sitting here, it's like, looks like a pretty normal anime to me, Just, just casually watching this.
You read the premise and you didn't expect a succubus?
I did read the premise, and I knew exactly what I was getting into.
I just watched it.
Dude, I was just chilling there like with a smile on my face. I'm like, this dude is gonna spaz out. I know he's about to spaz when he sees this shit.
It's a main character from. Well, actually, no. This is a manga, not a light novel. I'm pretty sure. Hang on, I need to fact check this for posterity.
All right, well, while you do that, I'm just gonna say real quick that
Yes, manga.
Manga. If I hear another woman in a show talk about how a man has such overflowing mana, such potent mana, heads will roll. It's a thing now. I've noticed this way too many times.
Mine's generally not just. I just in general saying he has such potent mana. They have such potent mana. I saw that gave me a headache when I saw that.
It's just another one of those tropes. Just another one of like the many fantasy tropes that authors that lack creativity or imagination just rummage around and pull from the bin.
Oh god. Okay, so here's also a really funny part. So at first, alright, so I heard that the protagonist is, an ace in every subject except summoning, and I was like, ooh, he has a flaw, a weakness. Maybe there's a small chance that this show will be a 2 out of 10 instead of a 1 out of 10. But as it turns out, his flaw is that he's too strong. He's so strong that his man is so powerful that when he tries to summon weaker things, they just run away scared. He's just that OP. Oh god.
He beat Goku. Can he beat Goku though?
No, he cannot.
I don't know, bro.
Can Vermeil beat Goku?
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
She did no-sell the strongest attack from the pink-haired childhood friend.
Goku is good.
But we don't know exactly how strong they are on the power scale.
Honestly,
and she also did say she's in her like weak form right now. She hasn't gotten her full power back, so I guess you gotta watch the show to find out.
So what you're saying is that they could beat Zeno Goku.
Yes.
They could beat Zeno from the Omni King.
I honestly did not finish this episode. It wasn't the worst of the shows that I watched. At least it has a hot demon girl. But it was about...
She is hot, I will say.
Yes, sir.
But, like... it was around the point where the pink-haired girl was cooming in the middle of the street at the thought of fucking the main character that I decided to turn the show off. Because... just why? Why?
It's gotta be the kind of show that it is, because we know he's gonna develop the harem, and we know he's gonna get with the demon at the end.
There is.
I mean, I'm not gonna blame him if he does, though. I mean, that's honestly the right choice. That's the best choice, honestly.
She does have a very sexy voice. I think that's honestly my favorite part about Vermeil is her voice, very good, very cute.
Yeah.
My favorite part of Vermeil and Gold is that there's these small sparks of life where it's like I actually begin to enjoy it when like the girl is like actually pumped about the main about like helping the main character pass in summoning, or when she's like, I'm trying to remember based on my notes, like when she's being overly clingy in class and like maintaining like, oh, I'm just being completely normal, nothing's wrong with this, oh, you're wrong for thinking it's messed up. Those small things are like, I enjoyed that scene a little bit, and it makes me wonder if there's a good version of this show where instead of a succubus, well, I mean, she's still a succubus, but it's more like she's just like cutesy and silly and just pulls pranks on everyone. I think that show would be fun. But instead, it's like more of this, okay, like blatantly, you watch this because it's de facto porn.
I think the way you described it, there is a relatively recent manga about familiars, and I think it is like exactly what you described. Like she pulls pranks instead of like being just like a sex goddess essentially.
Here,
But I
tell
would have
me.
to search that up.
I'm just gonna type in familiar in AniList and see if anything comes up. There's a 2022 one-shot called Familiar, and it's a hentai. Okay,
Nice.
so I guess I'll find
Oh.
it someday.
Speaking of hentai,
What?
the studio who made Vermeil and Gold, Staple Entertainment, this is their first TV show that they made. Their only other credit, I forgot the name of it, but it was just hentai.
Oh. Yeah, I'm
Of
on.
course.
They made
right
one
now.
hentai
That
and they were
tracks.
like, all right,
Oh, what is this? The hell?
that's a recent trend in anime where studios who formerly did hentai are like breaking into the TV anime. I think last season, the one about the sassy healer girl who just bullies the main character the whole show. Their studio only did hentai before they made that first TV show.
I
Authors just
remember
trying-
talking
choosing the
about that
studio
on the
to
podcast.
adapt their stuff is like, bruh. Wait, what?
It's I just find it fascinating in the sense of like there are these production committees who like will take on these people who have like their only experience is in porn, but they still are like, well, it is like I'm just like so fascinated by like how do you put that on your portfolio and like how do you submit that for a job application?
All I was saying is like, the authors like, choosing the studios for, like to adapt their shows. Like, I've seen their work before. It's pretty good, and just send it to them. No one like they made hentai
Like,
and stuff.
I mean, maybe one of the guys on the production committee was like, "Yo, I checked out this fucking sick ass hot hentai. We should get them to make this TV show." Maybe it was maybe like the post nut clarity hit so hard.
I mean, hey,
I will say though, sadly, this show is in that sort of no man's land between fan service and just full on nudity, where it's definitely doing its job better than fucking the harem show from the last block. But I feel like in a world where shows like High School DxD exist and interspecies reviewers, if you're not like providing if you're not providing like actual titillation in the show, I feel like it's not doing its full job, if that makes any sense.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Overall,
Like it feels like this like the harem show, this feels like it should have an uncensored version, but no, there's only one. This is like as lewd as it gets.
it's not the worst show of this block, but it's just really, really, completely uninteresting. Basically, all
Yeah,
I
the-
have to say about it.
The furthest extent of notes that I have in this show are this one line where Alto's like, "Oh, what the book that just fell on my head? What if it's a weird summoning book that just happened to fall on me?" And I was like, "Kill yourself."
That is the correct response.
More like gold is gonna get in Vermeil, am I right?
I did not.
Because his name is
understand.
Goldfield. That's the joke.
Ha.
All right. Well, I'm very excited to get to what is definitely the best show from this block, and might even be show of the season. Might be. It's definitely up there. Isekai Ojisan.
Let's go.
I absolutely okay. I intentionally decided to put it off, until this morning, literally right before we recorded, because I was like, okay, I want to go into this with a clean palette when I've just woken up, because this looks like it'll be great. And what do you know? It's pretty good. It's like really actually entertaining. Who'da thunk it? It has isekai in the title, but is actually good. What?
Well, what makes this one good is that this is a post isekai. We're with an isekai character who has completed his shitty light novel that only lasted like 3 volumes before it got canceled. So, and you know what else makes this cool? It's instead of just being about this guy who goes into a fantasy world, it feels like the guy, like we see it in both the uncle character and through, in essence, the guy who wrote the show, the original story, that he is like someone who doesn't just look at the tropes and media that inspired isekai and fantasy and whatnot and just like picking from a bin. It feels like he is taking things that the author himself enjoyed as a child and is like putting these stories into his story. Like that whole thing with the console wars and Sega and Sonic 2, like that was soul. That is heart. That came from a place of someone with a pulse.
Dude, when the uncle was like so distraught that he deleted his own memories of realizing that Sega lost the console war, you know, that was probably an author self-insert moment. Probably was.
I love how one of his first questions when he wakes up from his 17-year coma is, all right, it's literally the meme where it's like, sir, you've been in a coma for 15 years. It's like, oh, cool, I can't wait to do a thing from 15 years ago that's certainly still around today.
And then
the nurse is just sitting there smiling like, ooh.
So within the first minute of this show, there is a truck kun fake out where it like looks like he's about to get isekai'd, but then nope, it missed him. The truck just passed right by him.
He didn't get away with it this time.
Not today, Truck-kun.
He will kill again.
I remember I saw that and was like, this is something that's either going to be really irritating in hindsight if the show is bad, or really good in hindsight if the show is good. And it's great to say that it's actually good. So, no, I
love the comedy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the comedy.
It is definitely a funny show. Mm-hmm. It comes to us from a relatively recent studio, Atelier Pondark. Their only credit thus far is making the very cute Ganbare Doki-chan. No, wait, I said that wrong. Ganbare Doki-chan, which is a short series.
Is that their only other credit?
I'm sure they probably had like assistant production credits on like various other small projects, but like as far as making something themselves under their own name, that's the only thing they've made.
Okay, I'm looking at their credits, and literally the only other thing it shows them doing is Ganbare Doki-chan. At least
and I liked that show. Did we cover that on the podcast at one point? I could have sworn we did.
Was that the one we weren't able to release?
Oh yeah, was that fall 2021? Was that the one that had to get canceled?
So. I'm not actually sure, but I think so.
I'm fairly positive.
Yeah, it was fall 2021.
Okay, yeah, that explains it. I do want to finish. I think I've seen half the episodes.
I thought it was really boring, but
I thought it was cute.
It was boring though.
It's okay.
Well,
you don't have to. You don't
have the discussion for another day.
It's okay to say that you don't have taste. It's fine. I mean, it's all good. I mean, it was a good show, but if you don't have taste, it's fine. It's cool. You can just say that.
But I think we're all in agreement that Isekai Ojisan is a good show.
Yes.
One of my favorite things about it, right, is that the visuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a show with like visuals that actually feel cohesive and like really comfy to just sit in, which is startlingly rare nowadays.
It has this like weird shading going on, and I don't hate it. It's like a stylistic choice that like makes it stand out and not like just be there to try to be a unique gimmick, but makes it look ugly. And I'm not used to that from like established studios.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about, and I do indeed like it. I think that it makes the show, stand out, and it has a bit of a darker color palette, I feel, than most shows.
Yeah, it looks pretty grim, like from what I got from it. It looks like like you said, like darker, grim, a bit more like I don't know how
And
to
it-
describe it, but
it-
yeah,
Maybe not grim, but it's like a comfy sort of dark to me.
really.
Yeah, it's like it matches the atmosphere where it's you would think that like the easy route for the story, and like who knows, maybe they might take it further in this direction as they currently are. I've only seen the first episode. The nephew, the only person who goes to see the uncle after his coma from when he got hit by a truck, is the Takafumi, and he goes, and when he sees that his uncle has been to this fantasy world and has managed to retain his magical powers and abilities that made him overpowered in the fantasy world, his idea is, okay, we can make some money off of this. So they put up YouTube videos of him using his magic light sword to be a lightsaber and pretending to get stabbed in the chest when they realize his little pocket dimension could like be formed in between his could be formed on his chest, so they could like fake putting a sword through his gut and be like, oh, I'm dead, but nope, not actually, and just make it look like good video editing, and then rake in that sweet YouTube AdSense.
I love the bit where people are like trying to call it out as a hoax, which I thought was a really funny detail, and also because it would totally happen if this show literally happened in real life, people would definitely be like saying, "Oh, these effects look so bad. They look so terrible and crusty."
100%.
I think my favorite bit about the show is that our main character, they explicitly timestamp it. They say the show takes place in fall of 2017, and 17 years ago in the year 2000, our uncle character got hit by a truck, got put into the other world, and so he has missed the last 17 years of technological progress on Earth. So the furthest idea of like technological advancements are he's familiar with computers and video games and phones, but he's not familiar with smartphones. Like the furthest he's got is a 2G flip phone, which I forgot. I honestly didn't know like those sliding or flip phones were a thing back in 2000. I thought that was like a mid 2000s advancement, or maybe I'm just that much of a millennial.
He's a Zoomer, or I guess you would be millennial.
I'm at the very tail end of the millennial description. Hey, I don't want to hear anyone call me a fucking Zoomer when I had to use a flip phone in high school.
That's crazy.
I didn't get a
Alright,
smartphone
you know what,
until
fair
I
enough.
graduated.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Hey, what can I say? My parents wanted to save on the phone bill. I wasn't without a smart device. I had an iPod Touch and a flip phone. So
I remember.
I wasn't without smart technology.
Yeah,
Well, it's
before
crazy
I
you had a phone to begin with.
I had a.
You didn't have a phone in high school?
Not until second year.
Oh, well, what, second year of high school?
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's still high school then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I didn't have like started out, but still.
I wasn't allowed to have a phone until I'm trying to remember, because I know one of my friends lent me his, even though I wasn't really supposed to have a phone. I honestly don't remember when I was allowed to have a phone, but it was sometime in high school. I still barely use my phone though.
Well, yeah, but y'all probably y'all probably got like smartphones when you got your phones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got stuck with a fucking Verizon LG flip phone.
Let's go, dub.
Although for a while
Anyway.
my main phone was just using the family track phone.
The family what?
The track phone. Do you not know what a
is
track phone
that?
is?
I know if I googled it right now, I'd see a picture of it and be like, oh, that's what you're describing.
It's like a phone where you can only do calls on it, and you have to like pay for time to spend calling people.
Oh, you mean minutes?
Yeah, like minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, my family was nice enough to at least give me the unlimited plan with my flip phone.
We have gotten very off topic, but
Well, you know what? This is what a good show should do. We're talking about old technology. This is a show with kind of based on old technology. He goes to eBay to try to buy a flip phone, even though it's like uses outdated radio waves. He uses fucking 2G, whereas At this point, I think they're on 4G. And my favorite part of the episode is when he's like trying to win the auction, and he's like, and then the nephew's like, oh yeah, by the way, did you check the shipping cost? And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And he wins the auction. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, the shipping cost is like 3 times the price of the phone, which is a thing you still see on eBay to this day. But to someone like a man who has not been integrated with technological culture and like online shopping, that is a new concept. And he's like, oh yeah, this it looks like this phone is being sold from like a remote island like thousands of miles away, so you done fucked up. And then his immediate thought, at least to the viewer, is to throw himself off the balcony and kill himself, which is fair. Because if I did something like that, if I bought something on eBay and didn't check the shipping cost to see that's like as much as the thing that I'm buying, I'd probably throw myself off a building too.
This show just has a sort of like homey atmosphere that I think is elevated by the darker color palette, where like it all takes place in one room. Like technically they start off in the hospital room, then they move to the main character's room. But most of the episode just takes place in the main character's living room of his apartment, with the two of them just sitting around and talking to each other, talking about old stuff, talking about the other world, how things are currently, tons of funny gags. I love how the uncle, he got transported like 4 years before before tsunderes hit pop culture or like became mainstream. So when he met a tsundere in the other world, he just didn't know what it was. It's like, what makes it even funnier is the implication that, like, oh, if he had, been around long enough to see tsunderes in anime, he'd have so much more knowledge of the other world.
Well, you know what also makes this show good? Instead of going to literally any other generic isekai world, he went to what I can only describe in essence is the ReZero caliber of fantasy world, where instead of having literally everything go right for him, everything goes wrong, because people look at his Japanese face and are immediately racist and perceive him as an orc variant.
Yeah, it's like the gag in Tsukimichi, but if it was funnier.
And it all comes to a head where there's this one memory that he plays where he's like recounting how he saved this family of siblings from a monster attack, and after he kills the monster, when the siblings look upon the uncle, they're all like terrified, and the big sister's like trying to console them and comfort them, and then he takes the uncle's hand, and it looks like she's offering herself as sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
A monster killed the other monster because actually he wanted them. It's a great scene. Overall, the show is just really funny and really viscerally enjoyable to watch. And I'm so glad that Yofukashi isn't solely carrying this season, and that there's actually another show that I do really enjoy. So overall, I'd give this one a thumbs up out of 10.
I do gotta expose the show real quick. I blame this on the people who made it and not the original creator. I gotta bring out the wee woo fake gamer police. When they showed that demo of Sonic 2 in the store, you can clearly see Chemical Plant Zone in the reflection of his glasses, but the music they play from the game is of the 2-player race mode and not the Chemical Plant theme. So, sorry, gotta give it a 0 out of 10. Fake gamers.
They're not true gamers.
I say that, and then the guy made a reference to fucking Alien Soldier, which is like such a deep cut that like it can only have come from an author who like Alien Soldiers is one of his favorite childhood games. Like he played Alien Soldier as a kid and was like, it made a huge fucking impact on his life.
True.
If you don't know what Alien Soldier is, I don't blame you. I also just found out what it is today because I had to look it up.
Yeah, I do not know what that is. I don't even remember the reference.
It was after he was talking about his love for Sonic and Tails, And then he was like, didn't you ever love a person? And he's like, oh yeah, Kairi Nanase.
Oh,
And that's the character from Alien Soldier.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I thought he was describing an anime at first, and then I googled it, and it took me a couple searches. It's from the developers Treasure, who made Gunstar Heroes,
Still don't know what that is.
which is a popular Genesis game. It's keeping in theme. All of these games are on the Genesis. This guy was a Genesis gamer at heart. A man who chooses Sega consoles cannot live an ordinary life.
I think
the author knows what's up.
yeah. I think that's about all I have to say about the show. You got anything,
Same.
Luke, Austin?
Other than it being like a really nice comedy, it was like more of a turn your brain off type of show to me.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of insulting the show in a way. I'm not saying like
I wouldn't-
Really?
I'd say-
'Cause, I mean, it's
not
enjoyable.
to say that there's
That's-
like this deep, there's not like this deep intricate plot going on, but I feel like calling it a turn your brain off show is doing it a disservice. Being like, oh yeah, you can enjoy it if you like don't think.
I mean,
No,
like that makes it funnier because it's like, haha, what the hell is going on here? Old man, super strong.
Yeah, it's goofy, but that doesn't mean that you have to like turn your brain off to enjoy it.
I think it's less of a turn your brain off show and more of a vibe show. You just vibe with it.
You don't gotta like. It's not meant to get your blood pumping like watching a show. It's just something you watch and you chill to and you enjoy it.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
call that a
It-
turn your brain off show because you're just watching it and like chilling through it. You're not doing much else.
Yeah, that's what I like. I mean, when I say like turn your brain off too.
When
You
I
just
say
chill
turn
and
your brain
watch.
off, I imagine a show, well, like a trashy harem show that to enjoy it you need to turn your brain off.
I don't know. I've never been much for the turn your brain off thing because
I
it's
mean,
like, well, if I
me
could turn
neither.
my brain off, I wouldn't be watching TV shows. I'd be watching paint dry.
That is also a fairly valid point. I've never really turned my brain off for a show because
like,
I wish I had that power, but sadly I do not.
this is the kind of show where you don't have to strain to like make excuses of why you would like continue to watch it and enjoy it. Like if I met someone who like wanted to watch all of the isekais like this season, like all the shit, when someone wanted to watch My Isekai Life, Black Summoner, and all the bad isekai this season, and like I'd have to see them like strain to like, oh yeah, it might be really shit in this area, but if I just like turn my brain off and like pretend that those problems aren't there, it's passable entertainment. This I don't need to make excuses for. I can see why it's good and definitely see myself enjoying it more.
I don't mean in that term of like regard. I just meant like, it's more comedic, right? I just turn my brain off. I like the jokes. I'm just there. I'm not there to like pay attention to like Otako's complex, craziest story that's gonna tell like how I'm gonna die in like 5 years.
I would argue that you'd have to pay attention to the jokes.
I don't know. That's like I was just there just to sit there and have a good time and laugh. Really, that's really what I was there for, not to study or analyze it. Really.
Well, I'm not sure about you two, but I was definitely there to learn about the philosophy of life and death and about religion and politics. I was absolutely there for that. I really liked
Bro,
the commentary.
I'm writing a 10,000 word video essay on Isekai Ojisan right now. You kidding me?
I really liked the commentary on the Cold War and nuclear annihilation. I thought it was really fitting, with the themes and all of that about the show. It was just a really complete package,
My
Really got
brother
me
in
thinking
Christ,
about
he
life.
spent half the episode on Amazon ordering headphones. What the fuck?
They were on eBay.
Regardless.
They bought rice from Amazon, which I remember because I paid attention
Well,
and
if
didn't
you-
turn my brain
All right,
off.
Austin, but listen, if you think about the symbolism behind the headphones, you will see the commentary on the Cold War. That's what you're missing. That's what you miss by turning your brain off.
I missed the Cold War by turning my brain off. I don't think I was alive during that part.
The
I
Cold
don't think
War
any of us were
comment.
alive during the Cold War.
I was.
All right, then. Now let's
speak-
transition to the next anime.
I was gonna say, speaking of shows that require 10,000 word video essays, the maid I hired is recently mysterious.
Okay, so I've read a little bit of backstory for this show. It is from the same author that did Jahi-sama. And as you know, or at least Neon knows, I like Jahi-sama. You know, I watched the anime, I watched 3 episodes of it and was like, ooh, I'm vibing to this. So I decided to check out The Maid I Recently Hired as Mysterious, the manga, before the anime came out, because I also heard that Vlesky liked it. And I got like 4 chapters into the manga and was like, this kinda sucks. Like, this is horrible. Maybe not horrible, you know, it's not like generic isekai horrible, but it is like insufferable to sit through. And I got to the anime, having basically read all of this stuff from the manga, so, getting to experience it a second time, see if maybe, seeing it in animation livens up the experience, makes me enjoy myself a little bit more. It's difficult to sit through. Like, it is really hard to sit through. And the core of why is that it's the same joke over and over again without any change. Or at least without any meaningful change. It's got like the Ueno-san thing going on where it's the same thing over and over again.
You see, this is exactly the type of show that I would describe as a turn your brain off, because, like you said, it's literally the same joke. Every little, like, vignette in this episode is the same setup, the same punchline, over and over 1,000 times, and, like, this is the kind of show I would have to, like, turn my brain off to strain to enjoy.
What makes it even worse for me, right, is that I read a while ago okay. Actually, let me explain this first, which is that the core of the show's dynamic is basically that the maid tries to tease the master, but the master unintentionally teases her right back. And she always ends up the one blushing despite trying to make the main character blush. It's the same thing over and over again. There's another manga called Sokuochi Mayuri-chan. Now, it's a short manga, and it's honestly not that good. It's like a 5 out of 10. But I read that manga from start to finish, and I found it infinitely more engaging than The Maid I Recently Hired as Mysterious. And it's the same basic premise of the girl tries to tease the guy, but the guy teases her right back, but just 10 times funnier. And it isn't the same punchline every time. Like, it's the same kind of punchline, but it's completely different. Like, she's trying to tease him in completely different ways, and he gets her back in a completely different way each time. And it doesn't waste your time, because the setup for the jokes is just a single panel, and the punchline is also a single panel. It is a very short manga. So, the point is, that already kinda mid-manga is, like, infinitely more digestible than this. This is just a lot of characters talking on and on with, like, vaguely teasing stuff, and then he goes back same way each time. It is repetitious and boring.
And if I can pile on one more nail into the death knell, so to speak, there is a better version of this show airing this season called When Will Ayumu Make His Move?
That was better. And it did have the same kind of dynamic.
Just without the possible Shotokan.
That's also something I found odd. It's like, okay, so Vlesky described this manga to me as wholesome. And it's like, but it's like this age gap romance. It's like, well, that's not wholesome. These aren't wholesome
like,
vibes.
Well, the interactions that they have, it's cute because
not really.
Like, she's getting fused. Well, cute in the sense of, oh, I'm getting, like, sincere compliments from this guy who thinks I'm sus. But, like, it would be way more tolerable if instead of being a kid, or like, here's what you do: you make the little kid as old as the maid, or you make the maid as young as the kid.
Well, I'm a
That
Mushoku
sounds
Tensei fan, so maybe I can't speak.
Yeah, we use it.
In fairness, I like Mushoku Tensei in spite of the sus aspects for the most part. but that's a conversation for another day. The point is, this show is boring, and I don't like it.
Mid.
Bro, if had to hear the word Ayashi one more fucking time, I was gonna drive a spike through my forehead.
Just to put into my context my experience with the show, I had it on I eventually turned it on to double speed and just completely zoned out just to see okay, how can I just completely get what's happening, barely paying attention with double speed on. It's just because it's the same joke every time. It's just yep, I understand this completely. So.
Yeah, when some people say they like to put TV shows on in the background, I mostly never understood that sentiment. The only time I could have a TV show on in the background if it's something that I actually don't care for and I just need background noise. I don't know, for example, last night while eating dinner, the TV just happened to be on the local Fox station and I was playing some shitty rom-com sitcom called Mike and Molly that starred Melissa McCarthy, and it was not good, but it was just better than having silence at the dinner table. So just well,
yeah,
my folks put it on, I guess I'll just have it on. They didn't like it either.
I mean, my background entertainment is podcasts. I listen to those while editing, but I never really got watching a show like that.
Well, the other type of show I would put on in the background is something that I've seen a bunch of times and could pretty much just recite it from memory, classic SpongeBob. I could put that on the background for because I don't need to watch. I've seen all the classic SpongeBob episodes probably 100 times. I can recite them from memory alone, but it's just nice to just have noise on in the background. It's just pleasant to have something you like classic SpongeBob just on in the background. This is the kind of show where I could confidently say I could just have it playing behind me or out of the corner of my eye while I'm doing chores or something and still get the entire premise, because it's the same fucking thing every time.
I mean, if you don't understand the joke the first time, luckily you'll definitely get it by the 17th time.
Isn't it cool how the joke in episode 1 is going to be the same joke in episode 5?
I mean,
and not a clever twist on it like a good show would do.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the same setup, punchline execution.
I mean, at least it'll have more characters as it goes on, at least judging from the OP. But for now, it is just intolerable. I will not be continuing this.
The only note I took, my only notes about it were, oh god, it's Shotokan, it's formulaic, and the maid just looks like a Jahi-sama reskin, but she has beauty marks on her face and chest.
Jahi was cuter.
She was cuter.
Well, that's about all I have to say. Anything else, Austin?
It was alright. Cute, Maid. Would I keep watching it? Nah.
Mid.
This is mid, exactly. Mid. Below mid.
Made more like mid.
Speaking of below mid, who wants to take Parallel World Pharmacy?
Yeah, I can. Well, so what happens is there's a guy who's a pharmacist in a university. He ends up dying and then going back in time to the medieval ages as a blonde kid, and then he notices that everything's way behind its time, and he just uses his knowledge to capitalize on it. Once again, it's another isekai. I think it's just alright.
The first thing I noticed about this show is that it is surprisingly competently directed. It's not well directed per se, but there are some shots that spark the imagination or that have, some meaning behind them or feel like they convey something. The best example of this I can give is near the end of the episode, and this is going to sound real dumb when I explain it, but basically I think it's a silver-haired girl and the MC main character are sitting on a bench together, right? And the silver-haired girl is basically getting creeped out by the protagonist because he's lost all his memories, he's acting completely different, and he's super powerful inexplicably. And
again,
the shot is supposed
isekai.
Yeah, Well, that to be fair, yeah, that did kind of that is sort of implied with the term isekai.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're sitting on a bench together, and they're on opposite ends of the bench, and her case, like a suitcase or whatever that she's carrying stuff in, is wedged in between them. And it's a form of basic bitch symbolism that's basically here to say, hey, this event has caused a wedge, a rift in between these people's relationship. Which I know, once again, it sounds dumb to point out, but that's like 10 times more effort than 90% of anime are willing to put in. It at least complements the narrative. So I would say this is a competently directed show. I thought some of the shots were pretty good.
My first thought watching the show was, haven't we literally already done this? Hasn't there already been an Isekai Pharmacy show?
Well, to be fair, this is the superior Isekai Pharmacy show. I mean, that doesn't mean much, but...
Well, this one is the straight-faced serious version of it, whereas the last one was a comedy.
Well, it was a comedy that I could barely sit through, honestly.
I was actually really into all the shit about the doctor overworking himself for the sake of his dead sister. I did feel it's easy because you put a sick child in front of a person, they're probably gonna feel sad. But like, yeah, when the scene happened, it's like, I'm gonna be okay, right, big brother? If I take the medicine and go to sleep, I'm gonna wake up all better, right? As you see her, which she's like, I think she was like bald from the. I might be misremembering this. I think she was like bald. She probably had like went through chemo or something.
Yeah, you're remembering
all the procedures.
it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a very naturally sad sight. It's like seeing a wounded dog. You're like immediately your human empathy is kicking in.
It is cheap, but it did also get to me, and I'm not I'm not gonna pretend like it didn't get to me. It was moving me emotionally a little bit. Oh, go on.
It definitely didn't earn it. It just like threw a picture of a dying child in front of me and said, "Be sad." And kapow! You are now sad.
I mean, I guess it does get props for like portraying this all in an interesting, like a decently interesting manner. It's not revolutionary writing by any means, but it gets the job done. Like I said, that directing basically carrying the script.
Also, shout out to the pharmacist who gets reincarnated to be a kid named Pharma.
That is
Yeah,
genius
that was
writing.
kind of funny.
You see,
like-
his name is symbolism for the fact that he's a pharmacist.
Yeah, its whole name is
not even
Pharma
trying, bro.
de Medicis. I don't know if that's like how it is, but like how the pronunciation is. But it's basically pharmacy of medicine.
Well, yeah, 'cause pharma is just short for pharmacist. Because like that's the level of creativity we're working on.
The other thing I appreciated about this show, and this one is actually on a narrative level instead of just the directing, which is that unlike most isekai, it at least, takes some time to get us acquainted with the main character and their situation, which something that annoys me to no end is when isekai just skips straight to when they're super powerful as quickly as possible. Just, completely get all that childhood stuff out of the way, get all that acquainting yourself with the new world you're in. Screw that. We're just gonna make him super overpowered immediately. This one at least takes some time before getting to that point of him just, being introduced to all the people and, walking around his new house, having to eat dinner with his new family and be like, hey dad, you're giving me a pop quiz? Oh no. At least it's doing that. So it's more competently written than most isekai. That isn't saying much.
I was actually like super into all the doctor stuff because it writes itself. A story about a doctor who neglects his own health for the sake of the health of his patients, and his drive being his little sister that the modern medicine when he was a kid couldn't save, and he was mad that medicine was not advanced enough to save his sister. So he's like, fine, I'll become a doctor and I'll make the medicine so that way no one ever has to go through what my sister had to go through again. And it could be like, you could write an interesting story about like, is self-destruction of an individual worth worth it in exchange for like the chance to save many lives or some shit like that. I don't know. Anything more interesting than, oh my god, I grabbed the magic measuring meter and I broke it because my magical power is through the roof? Oh, what?
That was such a cheesy fucking scene. Well, like I said, I hate this mana stuff. It's the worst trope. Not the worst trope. It is one of many worst tropes.
I like the trope.
What did you say, Lou?
I said I like the trope. I like the trope.
You like the trope.
Yeah.
That is
Cool.
bizarre to
That's
me,
like-
but go off, I guess.
I think it's pretty decent. But then again, this is coming from the same person who likes the God wills it thing.
Well, this show wants to be Dr. Stone trying to bring you the power of like modern science and medicine to a comparatively primitive world. But whereas Dr. Stone was smart and intelligently written and had really good characters and a burning passion for its subject matter, this one is just smeared with a big fat isekai shit all over it, and I just couldn't be bothered to care.
Yeah, no.
You saying that makes me remember that I still need to watch Dr. Stone. Because that's one of the good isekai, at least from what I've heard.
It's not an isekai.
Or not an isekai, more like a fantasy.
Yeah, like it like if you want to be technical, it's like honestly, it's more of a time travel story. Cause they go forward in time, but society is essentially plunged back into the Stone Age.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I did not know that was where it started. I thought it was like...
no, like the whole conceit of Dr. Stone is that there's an event happens on Earth that turns everyone into stone, and then humanity is like essentially frozen for thousands of years, but a select few were able to escape their petrification, and because society has basically collapsed in the thousands of years that they were frozen, there's like small tribes of humanity eke out an existence basically as hunter-gatherers, and they're basically cavemen.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was an isekai, but I mean I am very happy to know that it is not.
No. When you watch Dr. Stone, you will feel passion for human evolution and progress in a way that like few shows could match. It's a show that makes you like believe in humanity, be like, yes.
Oh, I love shows
this is like
that.
This is the power of science and human drive coming together.
Will I hear the rumble of scientific triumph?
There's a rumble of scientific triumph every episode.
Hell yeah.
You will feel the heartstrings of scientific triumph. There are moments where science happens and you feel like you want to cry.
These atoms bonded. I'm tearing up.
That's all I've got to say about Parallel World Pharmacy.
I'd say I could watch it, but do I want to watch it? That is the real question. And the answer is no.
Wow. I'm gonna keep up with it. I mean, I like the concept of it, but like the characters are really bad, but we move, I guess.
We do move, indeed. It's
not
terrible.
I mean, I guess if you just turn your brain off.
Exactly.
Even more, I'll just shut it down.
Just fall asleep touching it. Might as well.
Alt F4 my own brain.
That's a fair response to have towards this show. God, I say that a lot. Well, anyway.
Well, now we gotta bring the mood down. We need to take a moment of silence in solidarity because we've witnessed a tragic death has occurred before us. It's a life taken simultaneously too soon and too far ahead of its time. We are gathered here on this auspicious day to lament the passing of Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
So, the manga fans have been not happy with this adaptation of their work. You know what, Neon Manta, I know you are just like bursting, ready to talk about this. I'm just gonna pass the torch off to you.
All right, so let's put this into perspective. Critically acclaimed manga Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer from what's the word? Underrated, unsung manga author Satoshi Mizukami, writer of things like this, Spirit Circle, and he did the writing for an original anime called Planet With a few years ago. He's one of those manga authors where he's not as huge as I'm trying to think of, like, he's like an underdog. He's like a dark horse. Yeah, he's a dark horse author where most everything that he writes is critically acclaimed and beloved, but just doesn't happen to get the popularity that it deserves. It's like I'm trying to think of like the best thing to compare it to. It's like he's a human A24, where they'll take these movies, these stories that are critically acclaimed, but because they don't happen to have like blockbuster appeal or popularity, they just lose out to the bigger name titles or the ones with have more pedigree or clout to throw around. Were any of y'all familiar with Satoshi Mizukami or Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer before the show?
Not
at all.
Nice.
All right, so let me put this into even greater perspective. The manga started in 2005 and concluded in 2010, ran for 10 volumes, pretty good run for a manga. So on Mal, to put it into a lens, it only has 50,000 members on Mal, which is pretty good considering that more people rank anime on my anime list than manga. It has on the popularity chart of like how many total users. It's not quite in the top 250. It's just sitting 8 spots shy of that. But in the rankings, it is sitting with an 8.4 average and a 188th best manga of all time, as ranked by the users on Mal, in the top 200, with, of course, its highest praisers or like biggest fans saying it's one of the greatest manga of all time. You know, they'll call it a masterpiece. And the anime is currently sitting pretty with a 6.01 and less users watching it than there are manga members on its page.
It's even worse on AniList. On AniList, the manga has an 82%, so, you know, a little less than Mal, just because AniList users tend to be a bit more critical. The anime has a rock bottom 53%. It is comical.
Lovely.
So I can only imagine how poor Mizukami must feel seeing his beloved baby butchered so heavily upon the altar of Studio Naz, who have been not doing great work. Rust Eater Bisco was pretty good at first, and then it spiraled into shit. They were the notorious studio behind the legendarily bad My Sister, My Writer.
Oh, 43% on AniList.
Oh god.
They've made a bunch of
My
I think their
Girlfriend
highest
is a
rated
Gal.
show. Yeah, that shit sucked. I think their highest rated show was ID Invaded, which I have heard good things about, and it does look kind of cool. But this is yet another strike against the studio for being. It's a crime. It's like there's no other way to describe it, because the craziest thing, I'm not even a fan of the manga. I have not read it yet, but never before has a show, or at least in quite some time, convinced me to go check out the manga more than this show. Not because I was like, oh man, this anime is just a moving manga. Maybe the manga is like better, or maybe like, oh man, this anime is so cool. Like now that it's over, and like maybe I'll go check out the manga while I wait for like a new season. This show, it's not even that it's the worst thing ever. It's just that it's such a watered down adaptation, so bare bones, so piss poor, that's like, I feel I owe it out of respect to just go check out the manga to make poor Mizukami feel a little better.
So I mostly agreed with that. I really want to read the manga. Like, I will be dragged away from that thing kicking and screaming. I want to read it so badly just watching the anime. And I did drop the anime first episode because, you know, you have to. You kind of have to with the manga existing. I will say, though, the script of this episode is, like, actually pretty damn watchable. My main problem...
That's all Mizukami,
yeah,
baby!
It literally is all Mizukami.
The best parts of the show are the writing.
Yeah, the writing is really, really interesting, and I do have a few things to say about it, and I really want to read the manga. My main problem with this show is that it is a technical...
Ugly as sin!
Yeah, that.
Everything's so fucking desaturated, and it doesn't animate.
See, it feels... Alright, so just looking at, like, the manga's art style, and granted, I'm not super familiar with the manga, but just looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is one of those shows that should have these, like, brighter, poppier colors. Do you agree with me on that? Or do you, like...
Yes.
Yeah.
It should not be so fucking desaturated.
That is my main... well, probably not even my main problem with the visuals, but it is a pretty big knock against the show visually. My main problem with the visuals is that it just feels very jank. There are many, especially in the fight scene. There's a fight scene around the middle point of the episode where the main character is going up against an orc, I think it is. This weird-ass looking monster.
It looks like an orc. They call them golems.
Oh, golems, okay. So he's going up against this golem. And just everything about the fight scene felt so jank and weird. Like every scene, or like every shot transitions to the next in a more jarring fashion. It's difficult to describe because I didn't take, I wasn't going to go by this thing frame by frame and, look at every little detail as to why it feels the way it does. But when you're watching it in real time, you get the sense that it's all wrong. It's all messed up.
Hey, you want to hear something funny?
I do.
Did you notice that? Did you notice that the OP of this show was all like clip art and show footage?
Yes, I did notice that. It isn't the it isn't the bare minimum, but it is not a good OP.
It's the bare minimum.
I mean, the bare minimum is like I'm trying to remember what the show is called, but like just taking clips from the show, and that's just the OP. They did a little bit more, but it's like near
like Ruby Ice Queendom.
I honestly don't remember the OP of Ruby Ice Queendom.
The same thing.
Okay, yeah, that is the bare minimum.
What a coincidence that two animated adaptations of stories from different adaptations of previously existing stories, longly anticipated, because the Ruby anime was like in works for a while, at least like the plans for one, but now they're both out and they're both kind of lazy.
Am I the only one who noticed that the main character's voice acting is like really shit? It's like, normally I'm not one to complain about voice acting, right? But the first thing that I noticed with him is that when he monologues, his voice gets way quieter than like it's difficult to hear over the music, which I know doesn't really matter because I'm watching this subbed, but it just feels weird to listen to. And then when he's talking normally, it is a little louder. It's at least on par with like the dialogue in terms of volume. But his delivery is just very dry and like not appealing at all to listen to. I did not like his performance, which is weird because normally I'm either neutral or impressed about every single anime voice actor I hear, but this one was noticeably subpar, at least to me.
I think, not to come to like a White Knight defense, I think it was supposed to be a little like flat and dry, because I think he's supposed to be, oh, what's his name? The character Amamiya is supposed to be like a little bit jaded,
Yeah.
a little bit like he's got a backstory, like he doesn't like being around people. He's very antisocial. Doesn't want to make friends because he thinks friends are gonna like stab him in the back or some shit.
Oh yeah, I get that much about its intentionality, but I also think that like normally I hear those kinds of characters and I'm still fine with the voice acting. Something about this just felt really dry, like the voice actor was bored recording the lines. Not to assume anything about the voice actor, but it felt like that listening to it.
I don't know, maybe the voice actors realized how desolate and full of despair this adaptation is. Maybe it's seeping into the voice acting a little.
The worst part is that this is one of my favorite shows of the block, purely on the basis of its script. Like, this is a very watchable show, except for like all the production values. Like, the production values make it unwatchable, but on a script level, it is like, I want to continue this. Which is why I'm going to the manga, like a moth to a flame.
I have more to say. I've noticed we haven't had Austin or Lude say anything in a while.
Yeah.
No.
Didn't want to dominate the conversation.
Yeah, we were just gonna let y'all go on your little spiel about this thing. I mean,
Well,
Oh no, like feel free to chime in at any time.
Okay, so about the manga stuff, right? I'd say I see the same relation because I know this is kind of mad what I'm about to say, but X-Arm was butchered. The manga is actually pretty decent.
that is true. As much as
I
I
have heard
heard
that.
X-Arm, the actual like manga or like the actual like story of it, it is actually really good.
Yeah, it's completely different to what the anime and everything. I don't know why they did what they did.
I'm kind of getting the same vibes from this show as well, because
Yeah.
it seemed very watchable, and like I mean, I was sitting there watching it, but like some of the animation just kind of put me off a bit, and like you said like a bit about the voice acting, I did kind of notice that with the main character, although like I didn't wasn't like too much of a like distraction for me, or it didn't really like I didn't really mind it that much, but I still like I understand what you were getting at when you were saying that. But yeah, it seemed like a pretty like interesting like concept too.
My favorite thing about the
'Cause-
show in terms of like the concept is the idea of these two scoundrels sort of saving the world, or I guess saving in quotations, because the ending reveal is that the princess of the prophecy actually also wants to destroy the world. It's just that she wants to be the one to do it instead of the Biscuit Hammer. So she wants to save the world from the Biscuit Hammer to annihilate everyone herself.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
It's a very
great
interesting
twist.
hook.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Because like now you want to know,
Yeah.
okay, what's her beef with the world?
Yeah, the whole thing where like the knight that like turned into a lizard, I thought that was actually pretty like funny, but also pretty cool. That's like why they want to destroy the Biscuit Hammer.
It's like such a wacky show on the moment to moment juxtaposed against the apocalypse that makes for a really interesting feel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what crazy writing thing I just thought of while we were talking about the show that now I've put in to get 2 and 2 together in my head? It makes sense why Amamiya would be so willing to instantly pledge his loyalty to help her destroy the Biscuit Hammer so she can destroy the world, because he doesn't fucking care about people. He's shown that he's like not interested in making friends or enemies. So is it a big deal if the world is destroyed?
Dude, that's probably why her speech stirred him, because he's like, I'm misanthropic and I don't care about anyone. That's why it struck a chord in him. Yeah, I like literally just realized that.
And I thought about that just thinking about the writing and literally nothing else.
It's like I
can-
want to read the manga. This is the best advertisement for a manga I have ever seen.
This is the greatest advertisement for a manga since One Punch Man season 2.
That is also
never
fair.
forget. I wonder how Mizukami must feel being like, because I haven't read the manga, like I said. I can only imagine though the big reveal of the Biscuit hammer in the manga is probably like, if I were to throw a guess out there, it's probably like a 2-page spread of like you see the big ass like width and breadth and scope of the Biscuit hammer just looming over the earth, ready to drop and smash it apart. And you like it's probably like a real big impressive shot, like this is like one of those oh shit panels that you see in a manga like this, and then we see it in the anime, and it's fucking CG.
Looks really goofy. The best part about this anime adaptation is reading people mauled in the AniList and Mal forums. I saw one person write a huge essay about it in Reddit, and one of his major points against the anime is that they removed the panty shots.
Well, damn! Now I really gotta check out the manga.
Oh yeah, if I wasn't hooked enough already.
Like I can just imagine the properly paced and tightly written manga. Like it's here. It is somewhere here, just buried underneath all of this Studio Naz trash that they've smeared upon it. Like we gotta dig it up. We gotta clean it off. And we gotta pray that maybe 10 years from now, they'll give it another go and actually give it to a competent studio. And give it the adaptation it deserves.
Like, from what I can tell from people talking about it, it is a mostly faithful adaptation. It's just that the production values... Oof.
Now, here's a question I want to pose before we move on. If you had the power, which studio would you want to give this show to?
Trying to think of a studio that like definitely that like it would fit with, but that also wouldn't ruin it. Because my first thought was
I'm thinking Bones.
that was also
Yeah,
one
I'm about to say
came
Bones that
my
did
mind.
FMA, yeah.
So Bones could probably do a pretty good job of it.
Maybe Perriot? I don't know like how to pronounce it.
Fuck you, just give it a map. They
Hold
already
on.
have a
Who
shit
was
ton
the...
to do.
Okay, so hold on. What's the studio that did Fire Force? 'Cause I haven't seen
David Production.
Did they do any? Because I know David
JoJo's.
Productions was formed from.
They did JoJo, my
They did
dude.
JoJo's.
That's like their main export is JoJo.
Okay, for some reason I'm remembering something about like. Okay, so Fire Force was made mostly by like ex-Shaft people.
You think Shaft could do a good job?
No, not in their current state.
I would not trust this. This does not scream like a Shaft show.
Like when I think of a Shaft show, I think of like a dialogue-heavy thing or like a fan service slice of life show. Because Shaft can adapt like a fan servicey slice of life show and make it actually more interesting than the manga. At least it used
Like
to be
Nisekoi?
able to. Yeah, like Nisekoi. Although I haven't actually watched Nisekoi. But Akiyuki Shinbo's directing can basically hard carry any script.
Then what about like Madhouse or something like that?
Madhouse.
If you ask me Madhouse 10 years ago, I would say yes. If you ask me Madhouse today, I'm a little more iffy because Madhouse has kind of fallen off, sadly.
I think if you gave it to Madhouse, there's a 50-50 chance it would turn out good.
What was the last good thing Madhouse has made?
That's a good question.
Like, I don't want to say One Punch Man was the last good thing Madhouse ever made.
Sunny Boy, right? I'm looking. Right. Yeah.
Okay, they
Boy.
did do Sunny Boy. Okay, I would have to finish Sunny Boy in order to make that assertion. But yeah, I remember liking the first episode of Sunny Boy.
Oh yeah, I loved the first episode of Sunny Boy. So they could be able to do it. Just depends on if you get the
now.
right people.
How long of a gap was between One Punch Man season 1 and Sunny Boy?
A fat gap.
5 years. Can you in that 5-year gap? Can you think of anything else?
Well, hold on. I think I've got one. Well, people like A Place Further Than the Universe. I haven't actually seen it.
Oh, I forgot that was Madhouse. Okay, yeah, that one gets a pass.
Okay. If Ore Monogatari came out after One Punch Man, because they came out the same year, and I'm looking at the seasons right now. But if Ore Monogatari came out after One Punch Man, then yeah, that would also be another contender.
Cause yeah, I'm looking at their studios right now.
Yeah,
they're too busy
before.
doing Overlord.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Ore
Yeah,
Monogatari
No
was
Guns
pre One
Life.
Punch Man.
Yeah, I'm looking at everything between One Punch Man
I mean, they
and
co-did Tacked Up Destiny.
I heard Aka 13 was good. And I've heard good things about the recent Cardcaptor Sakura anime.
They did Boogie Pop.
That Boogie Pop's trash.
Okay, that's the trash one. Okay.
No Guns Life was bad. Season 3 of Chihaya Furu has a 6.78.
That's
Huh?
actually-
It
that's
has an
actually crazy.
84% on AniList. What?
It's crazy.
Huh?
Did the Mal users bomb it? Or
Oh wait, that was a special. Never
Oh,
mind.
Okay.
Okay, all right, my mistake. I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, that vampire show was trash. I did not care for Tacked Up Destiny. I did not care for that cop show.
We are way off topic.
I mean, I don't want to think about Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer anymore.
I want
Unless
to
it's
think
about
the
reading the manga.
Yeah. Just God, I enjoyed this episode purely on a script basis. Like I want to make that clear. This was a fun time, but God, was it in equal parts frustrating.
Anything more about this funeral procession?
Mid.
Rest in peace.
mid animation?
Below mid. I have seen mid. This is not mid. This is trash.
I don't know why, but it reminded me of something called Huntix. If you guys ever seen that.
Which show?
Yeah, it just the vibe it gave off. I felt like it came out like back in back in time.
I didn't quite hear what you said. Which show did it remind you of?
Huntic.
Hunter x Hunter?
No,
Huntic.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
It like reminds me of a show that came out back in like I don't know 2007.
I mean,
That's what the show reminds me of.
that's probably fitting for a manga from 2005.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That explains it.
Yeah, next up we have Allied Air Force Magical Idols Luminous Witches, which based off the title alone, I was expecting the greatest fucking show of all time.
So this is apparently related to some like Strike Witches thing, which I've heard of, not seen, but I have indeed heard of. I don't really know what it's about or what this show's relation to it is.
I thought it was one of those like mobile games, kind of like the ones with like the guns and the last Girls Frontline. I thought it was like along those lines.
I watched it and I was getting huge gacha vibes, but like I'm not actually sure if this is like a gacha game or something like that, or like a mobile game. Do you know?
I couldn't tell you, Bob. I saw the plain like things. I was like, I've seen this before, and then I went on the Mal page and I saw Parent Story Strike Witches. I was like, ah, shit.
Okay, so last show we had a funeral procession for Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, but I would like to hold another funeral right now for Studio Shaft. Oh, how the mighty!
Oh yeah,
have fallen.
Shaft made this.
I have all right. So about 3 minutes into the episode, I was bored out of my mind. Right, so I was looking at the Annie list page because I mean, what else am I gonna do? Watch the show? Obviously not. So I went back to the Annie list page, just checking it out. Oh, and I think it was also because I was wondering if it was a mobile game. But I looked at the studio and I was like, Shaft did this? What? So luckily, Shinbo's name has nothing to do with this. He did not work on this show at all. He is not credited. He is too busy working on the new Madoka stuff. So luckily his name is not dragged through the mud with this show. This show...
No, this is Shaft collecting a paycheck.
Yeah, Shaft has done like a gacha game like collaboration anime before because... Okay, so the studio has been run like shit ever since the beginning. They release shows way too quickly, often in an unfinished state. It's just a horribly run studio, and then obviously, like, I think it was 2017, like half of the in-house staff at Shaft just left. They were like, we're done. This studio is being run into the ground by tight deadlines and, you know, schedules that just get shorter and shorter every single time. We're done with this. And it was a huge staff exodus that left Zoku Owari Monogatari with, like, no staff to complete it, and they needed to, you know, branch out and find people to, you know, quickly actually finish the show. And those people went on to do Fire Force, if I recall correctly. And like, this studio is dead. Shaft is dead. This show, like, remember when Shaft's directing style was like super unique and they could hard carry their low budget shows with just how distinct they looked? Remember how Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei was basically just a slideshow, but with really interesting directing, so you didn't even care that it had no animation? The show just looks bog standard and boring, and that is saddening to me.
Yeah, that's way more than I have to say about the show. I didn't make it past the first
Shaft
few minutes.
is my favorite studio, so I am very invested in this. Otherwise, like, I watched like 8 minutes.
All right, so Crunchy, your honest opinion then. Luminous Witches, better or even better than March Comes Like a Lion?
Greatest show of all time, man. I love Luminous Witches. I love the 8 minutes of it that I saw. 10 out of 10. No, 11 out of 10.
The Air Force magical idols.
My biggest problem with this show on a narrative level is that it keeps on switching to a different character every 10 seconds. And it's like, I just want to sit with a protagonist and learn about them. I don't want to be thrust around constantly to a different perspective about characters that I doubt I'll ever
We need
care
you to, though. We need you to, we need
ever
to sell
care
you
about.
on the figures.
But I don't want the figures of characters that I can't care about. Like, that's one of my pet peeves with writing in general. Like, a lot of anime do this, where they're like, we gotta introduce every single character in the first episode. Shows I like even have this problem. Like, Imotose Arabai. My biggest problem with that show is that the first episode introduces, like, a fuck ton of characters that you don't care about yet. This show is even worse than that, though, because at least in Imotose, they were all in the same room and, like, generally friends. This is a bunch of disconnected plot lines with characters that you don't care about yet, just constantly flashing by. It's like a narrative seizure. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this show. It sucks.
And it sounds like no one else has anything else to say about it.
Bro, it just looks like waifus on plane or propeller like legs or some shit like that. That's honestly what I'm
Yeah,
getting.
I also think the propeller leg designs just all fucking ugly.
Just whack.
Alright, well, then next up is Prima Doll, or as I called in my notes, Nier Automata, but Gochiusa, but lollies.
Exactly.
So this is one of 2 shows this block that are basically Gochiusa with extra steps.
And there's not much to say about it. There's these lolly-looking automatons that used to fight are now in this this cafe in steampunk London town or some shit. The enemy robots look like steampunk Zaku from Gundam.
Something I've noticed.
And that's the extent of my notes.
Something I've noticed about shows that I don't like is that I tend to, while watching them, come up with like an infinitely more interesting show in my head based off of like little sparks
I do
of
that all the fucking time.
Based off of like little sparks of originality in the show. I was doing that constantly for this. My main problem with the first episode, I watched it almost to completion. Didn't quite make it that last bit, but you know, you wouldn't notice. And it's basically about this arc of this automata that has lost her memories, but she's pretending to have her memories. It goes by so quick. You can't get invested in this story because it's like it doesn't even try to make her an interesting character. It's just like amnesia, bro. Aren't you already invested? Don't you care immediately? It's like no, I don't. It's just I hated Gochiyusa, right? But I'd rather watch it than this. That is my final statement about this show.
It was a
Anything
pretty
else?
alright show.
I actually think like the animation for it is actually pretty nice. Looks appealing, very bright. It doesn't look. It's actually like I don't think it actually looks that bad, to be honest with you. With the
It
whole
is
animation aspect.
up to date visuals. I would call them.
Yeah,
that.
basically up to date visuals. Yeah, like you said.
It is what you would expect for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a lot to say compared to a lot of these other shows.
Like shoot,
Lucifer
go to
and
the
Biscuit Hammer.
future.
Shoot, go to the future. Okay.
It opens with the worst looking FPS game I've ever seen in my life.
That is true.
So
Like-
I watched the entire first episode of this.
Literally, how dude?
This is where you clap for me. So on AniList,
No, this is where I pray for you.
it says that this show is basically a sequel to a sports anime and manga from the 90s.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It is from the 90s, like 90. It's either 90s or 96. I'm not sure which one.
I mean, judging
What
from
the
that
fuck?
score, I don't think people were having a good time with this one.
What?
I
the
can tell you, I
fuck?
wasn't.
I like.
Oh,
Okay, so something I find funny, right, is that he's playing this FPS shooter game with his friends, and he's getting like these PTSD flashbacks to his time playing soccer.
Bro, he's just like me for real. He's just like me.
Now this is a
Bro-
character I can relate to exactly.
I'm blown away. I did not find this while researching all the shows to put in the podcast.
That thing I said last show about like coming up with a more interesting show inside my head while watching it. That definitely happened while this one. I was taking.
I already have a more interesting version of this show. It's called Aoashi, and I haven't finished it yet.
I also thought that.
10 times
I was
more
like,
interesting.
I need to get back on Aoashi. I don't even know if it's finished airing yet.
No,
but
it's
anyway.
not.
It's not.
Okay,
It's not.
yeah. I want to finish. I want to wait until it's done airing, but.
See, the poor thing about this show is that it has the unfortunate circumstance of not only looking like shit, but also being sandwiched between Aoashi and Blue Lock next season.
Not good.
Yeah, that is basically the death of this anime right there. Like, if a sports anime looks bad, it's unwatchable because there's a lot of movement you got to take into consideration. It's like, well, if the first episode looks like this, and remember, most anime blow their budget on the first episode. All right, if the
I
first
saw the CG soccer players, and I was like, yeah, I'm done.
that was
Yeah.
basically my thought. There are.
I'm pretty confident they reused the same shot of the CG soccer players too, in like the same scene.
I didn't notice that, but I wouldn't put it past them. There are some little sparks of intrigue in this show. The main one being like the mom like looking into his darkened bedroom from the bright kitchen and being like, "Oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, did you get dumped?" Which first of all made me hate the mom because I was like, could you have a little more tact? He's crying and you're asking him just nonchalantly, "Oh, what, did you get dumped?" Bro. But second of all, I wanted an entire show about just his relationship with his mom. Like, that looked like a 10 times more interesting show than whatever sports shit is going on. Overall, it's just a very, very bog standard, uninteresting sports anime. When you could just, watch like Haikyuu or Aoashi or any other
Better
sports
sports anime, really.
The only compliment I can give this show is that it's not Tamayomi.
Oh god.
So yeah, this is yet another common EMT squared L.
I agree. Mid.
And apparently Magic Bus worked on them with this, who are most well known for all of their weird softcore porn TV shows that they put on TV for some reason.
Good, let's put that with a football anime. Hell yeah, that makes sense.
Bro, they needed. You think EMT squared could get those PS2 model looking ass soccer players themselves? No, they're only capable of doing PS1 models. They needed that extra horsepower.
They needed that.
Extra collaborative effort.
Oh my god, dude. All I can say is that, like, I was slamming my head on the desk the entire time watching this shit. Like, I legit could not even tolerate it. Like, I was like, all right, it has football or soccer in there, so I was like, you know what, I'll be able to sit down and watch that part at least. No, I couldn't even sit down and watch that part because you know why? There's barely any of it in the first episode, so I was like, fuck off.
Yeah, and fuck off it will, because now we're moving on to Teppen.
What a smooth
Okay.
transition.
So the first thing I noticed about this show is that the title has so many exclamation points. It's
That's a thing some shows do for some reason. I don't know why.
He
is this
slammed
like a
his head on the
thing in
keyboard
anime?
and just kept it there.
Okay, but the second thing I noticed, if I'm just gonna copy and paste this into chat, is that the very legal straight. Oh, it didn't copy paste for whatever reason. Copy. Okay, no, it won't copy paste, but the streaming site that was very legal that I got this off of, it had episodes 1, episode 3, and episode 4.
Ooh, nice. No, 2.
We're at episode 2.
Is gone from existence.
I know. I was watching it on Crunchyroll, and my problem with it was that the opening had like the lyrics on the screen at the bottom in the original Japanese language, subtitled. They didn't put them in English, even though it feels like of all openings they should be subtitling this one, because I feel like they were doing like telling jokes and doing like some kind of comedy rap.
Yeah,
And,
probably
it
something
would've
like
been-
that.
It would have been cool to understand what they were saying, but Crunchyroll decided to just not.
So the hook of this show is basically that there's these girls in a competition, and it's a manzai comedy competition. They're, basically trying to make the audience laugh. And my only exposure to manzai comedy is Nisio Isin saying that the style of comedy inspired his, like all the banter in the Monogatari series, which I liked that. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll enjoy this. It's not really that funny, honestly. The biggest smile I cracked while watching it was when I was bored, so I remembered a skit from Nichijou and started smiling because I remembered how funny Nichijou was.
Yeah, I was kind of bored watching this one too. The only time I felt a pulse during this whole episode was when the green-haired girl with the ripped ass calves came out, and I was like, "Ooh, that's best girl."
Yeah, that was kind of cool. It also, I think the top recommended show, from this on AniList is Joshi Raku, and I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, Joshi Raku is kind of similar to this show. And then I just spontaneously decided to rewatch like the first 5 minutes of Joshi Raku, which was more fun than this entire episode. So I need to get back to Joshi Raku. I've had that on pause so long.
Right after this, bro's gonna be turning on that show.
Ferrari had to
I
pull it
feel
up and
like-
everything.
I feel like this is of all of the shows this season, this is the one show where I'm like, I feel like I can't meet it halfway, and I feel like it's partially my fault. It feels like this is the kind of show where the humor is so rooted in Japanese culture, or at least that's what it feels like, that I can't fully appreciate it.
There was one skit like that. There was another where they were like crafting the statue because they broke the head off of it, and they were like, "Oh, we need to cover this up." Didn't really get a laugh out of it.
I didn't laugh at it, but like I understood what the joke
Yeah,
was. I just feel like most of the other ones weren't really hitting me that hard.
Yeah, that one was like easy to understand, but I was not huge into it.
It also feels a little too ADHD for me, where like we're constantly switching between the perspectives of the different comedy groups, and they're all doing they're all eccentric, all doing really wacky, crazy things.
I mean, like I said, all these anime just refuse to stick to a single perspective. It's like, can't I just stay in the eyes of like a main character for like even a single episode, even a little bit? But no.
Never show Crunchy an ensemble show. He will blow his
Dragon
brains
Maid
out.
is an ensemble show though, and I like that. I mean, kind of. It's like a
No,
comedy.
Kobayashi Toro have more precedence over the cast than.
I mean, yeah.
An ensemble is when everyone has equal billing.
I mean, I feel like I have to have seen at least a few shows like that. But
I'm sure if we went through your list, I could point out a couple ensemble shows.
But Azumanga Daioh like focused on a few characters individually at first, then wove in everyone else. And by the end, they had equal presence with no real main character. Or I guess Lucky Star had Konata as the main character.
It's funny that you mentioned Nichijou when you did though, because I did like the one thought that was running through my head while watching this whole episode. I was like, I haven't seen Nichijou yet. This show it's just reminding me that I haven't seen Nichijou yet.
You know, last podcast when we talked about the Become Nichijou button, this was about the point where I was like, I need that button right now.
Anything else about Teppen?
Nah.
Mid.
Shows
The jokes were quite tepid, if I do say so myself.
All right, but what about Shine Post?
Isn't this like Love Live or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but yes.
Okay, so Shine Post was... I watched it very late at night when I was basically going delirious with lack of sleep. I literally turned
Bro,
to
I'm
some...
not
time to watch this anime.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I made it 1 minute into the show and I dropped it.
I
saw the CG idols. I was like, yeah,
I made it
no.
a minute into this. Crazy.
How far did you make it?
I didn't. Didn't even set
Didn't
foot in
watch
there.
it. I don't blame you. Literally, of all of the shows, you could skip this one and I would not be mad.
I stayed until like the concert at the start ended, and then I was like, yeah, that was me.
I watched more of this than everyone else here. So the concert, I put on 2 times speed and then started skipping around. Then I got to the actual dialogue parts where it's like the characters talking, and there are some like... I remember there being some decent jokes. I'm trying to remember. Like the one girl tells this dude who comes in, she's like, okay, sit on the carpet. And no one understands why she said it. And she's like, huh? It was supposed to be a joke. I was joking. And everyone's just like, what are you talking about? That was like a little spark where I was like, oh,
That
okay.
doesn't sound funny at all.
It's not funny, but it's like, okay, so she's awkward. Like no one really gets her. Like, that's a spark. That's something I can hook myself on. But it's just like it doesn't.
I know you're
go
not
into that
trying to
far.
sell me on the show, but it just
It's
sounds
not
like you're
good.
reaffirming that
It's not
me
good.
dropping it 1 minute was the best decision.
Oh, it was the best decision. I am not trying to defend this show at all. I am trying to talk about the one thing that even slightly captivated me. Like, trust me, this is not a defense of the show.
I'm already out of things to say.
Well, obviously, because you watched 1 fucking minute of it.
Yeah, can you blame me? I saw CG idols.
True.
And I was like, yeah, nope.
Wait, it had that.
Goodbye.
I'm glad I didn't. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Save
There's
myself
one
a
part
bullet.
where like the idols are about to get their group shut down, and the main enthusiastic character is like, it's basically setting it up as like her lucky day at first. She's like, there's all this good luck happening. Then she walks into the room and it's instantly like, your idol group is about to be shut down. She shuts the door instantly, then opens it up, and she's like, what were you gonna say? Your idol group is about to be shut down. I wasn't dreaming.
That sounds a little charming.
It was very charming. That was a bit of pulse in this show. But I mean, otherwise, it is nothing.
Well, man, I enjoyed the concert. 10 out of 10. Got the tickets were cheap.
Anime of the year. Easy.
You see, the problem with these idol shows is that they're putting the cart before the horse. What they should do to bait people in, they should start with like the charming little jokey bits first. Then when we're like near the end of the episode, then you spring the ugly ass CG idol performance on us.
Then maybe we'll be able to tolerate it barely.
Alright, well, it sounds like that one's over and done with. I want to take Smile of the... How the fuck do you say
You
this?
mean Aramanga Sensei?
What? Smile of the Arsnotoria?
Yeah, it looks like Aramanga Sensei, the girl with the white hair.
Oh, that's what she looks like.
He's right.
I was like... See, but here's the thing, though. It's funny that you bring up what she looks like. Because I looked at all of the character designs, and I was like... I've seen this before. I've dealt with this demon in the past, and I looked it up, and sure enough, it was Shinichiro Otsuka, the original character designer behind ReZero.
Oh,
I thought the eyes looked very ReZero like.
Yeah, a couple of them just straight up have Beatrice's eyes.
So like the green haired
immediately, this show put me off because although it has decently high quality. Like character
designs.
art, like character designs and character art. There's like two really scuffed bits of animation in like the first minute, where it's like very choppy for no reason, where like feels like they're trying to do this like inventive, creative shot, but they don't actually have the manpower to make it look good, so it just comes off as very jarring. And that was about the moment where it's like I'm already ready to drop this. The rest of it is just Gochiusa with extra steps because, we loved Gochiusa that much.
Yeah, this one's based off a Japanese mobile RPG game with gacha elements.
Oh, okay.
Which explains why all of the girls have varying, unique designs. It's like, wow, these girls are so cute and these designs are so good. It makes me want to pay money out the ass to roll for them in a gacha.
That makes sense. This like remind me of Children of Wales when I first started it, and I was like, wait, nah, this is so much different.
It's just yet another show with like a bunch of lolly main characters that are supposed to be cute and adorable and enrapture you. It's like
spend money.
But
spend
also that
I did find it cute that the main saggery looking girl smells her hair a lot. I don't know why she does it.
I thought that was kind of cute, but I mean, other than that, it's just like
she always has like the ends of her hair up against her nose for some reason. I don't know if it's like a tick.
See, if the show was all about her and it, like, it's another one of those shows that just feels the need to threaten every fucking character within the first 5 minutes.
Because we gotta sell you on the gacha.
But it's like if we just stuck around with that one girl for, like maybe 10 minutes just to learn about her. Maybe with her friends there, she talks about her a little bit. But it's mostly there to, show the Soon girl and see, look how cute she, then I'd be sold on it more. Then you'd sell more gachas. The show would probably be actually popular if you did that. But no, you have to put all the fucking characters immediately. So that, those are my thoughts on the show.
Not good, all right?
Mid.
Exactly.
Lou has just said mid for the past 7 shows.
I mean, I think it's valid, though.
I mean, the season has not been great.
Yeah.
It was definitely a winter 2022 calendar season.
Honestly, I think this might be more insufferable than winter. Because winter felt like it had more... I mean, granted, it had lower lows, but this felt like it had... It was just such a flat line for so much. And then it's just like, oh, Isekai Ojisan and Yofukashi carry.
Well, what about the last show on our list? Hanabi-chan, the girl who popped out of the game
Bro,
world.
what the fuck is this show even about?
Read the title.
I thought this was like fantasy stuff.
It has nothing absolutely like going to be like explained about it, and like things happen just because they happen. Like legit, that's like what I've seen from like the 4 minutes that I got from it.
Well, you know how Japan has to take every possible thing on the planet, every inanimate object possible, and turn it into a sexy anime girl.
Wait,
Or at least
so
at the
you're
very
saying
least
these
a
characters
marketable one?
are sexy?
Well, no, sexy was the wrong word. At least a marketable one.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, this one, it's a slot machine.
Mm-hmm. No, but
Are you not
my
entertained?
question is not more of like what, it's more about why.
Because it's funny, question mark.
Gotcha.
Cause like,
I mean, I
Yeah, I
think the
ain't gonna
reason
lie, I fell
why
asleep.
Japanese people turn everything into anime girls is something like this spirituality thing of like everything has a soul. At least that's what I've heard. I mean, I don't.
and
really
every
remember it
soul
too
can
well.
be sold with the right
So-
marketing budget.
The studio behind this is, as Neon pointed out to me in a conversation once, Studio Gaina, which also did the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting.
And as we know, Gaina is the remnants of Gainax that didn't jump ship and make Trigger, or go on to do other things. Granted, I couldn't tell you exactly how many people from Gainax as we knew it, that went on to like continue at Gaina are the same staff. I'd imagine very few, if any. But because Gainax got so many, I'm pretty sure I remember this right. They got so much money out of Evangelion that they could just do whatever. They were able to survive this long even without having put out literally anything of note since which came first? Was Panty and Stocking or Gurren Lagann like the last thing they did before Trigger was formed?
I didn't. I thought Panty and Stocking was Trigger.
No, that was Gainax.
Okay. Trying to see.
It was done by Hiroyuki Imaishi, I'm pretty sure, but it was that guy. This is before Trigger.
Okay, so yeah, they did do Panty and Stocking, and then after that, this just looks like a bunch of nothing.
What year was Gurren Lagann? 2010 or like 2009?
Oh shit! Wait,
2009,
Gainax
I
did
think.
Medaka Box. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was the last thing of note that they did.
Yeah, Medaka Box is it's decently big. It's
Oh, it was
got Nisio
2007. Okay.
Okay, Medaka
Alright,
Box was
so-
2012. Although am I the only one who knows what that show is?
I haven't seen it, but I know what Medaka Box is.
Okay.
I've never heard of Madaka Box in my life.
It's basically just known for being written by Nisio Isin.
And it ran
Yeah.
in Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
it's
Nisio
basically a
Isin
comedy
doing
like Fight Club almost.
It's Nisio Isin doing shonen manga.
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go watch it.
Bro, his JoJo sketches are actually pretty good.
Honestly, I'll probably consume Medaka Box via the manga though.
It's like one of the only Shonen Jump works where the main character is a woman,
Base as
which
fuck.
is just kind of sad.
Medaka Kurokami.
I deadass can't think of the last time a Shonen Jump property was headlined by a woman aside from. I think the last one was like Promise Neverland.
To be honest, I am not very far down the shonen rabbit hole, so I don't know any of them.
Yeah. Although I think there should probably be some more because like, I mean, it's not bad having like a female like lead in an anime.
Oh, I want to see more female leads in Shonen. I feel like there's a big drought.
Yeah, I mean, I like women as much as the next guy.
That's kind of weird way. No one
I-
was questioning that.
Yeah, I know it was supposed to be weird.
So Hanabi-chan, thoughts,
I was
opinions?
supposed to be disabled.
The girls are cute.
Hanabi-chan, what is there to talk about?
It's
I like
Moe
the
as
designs. I like the designs. I like the art style. The show's nothing though.
It's one of those short shows, 4 minutes long. Not much to say. She can shoot fireworks and she's a lazy blaze about. and it's not that funny.
Yep, that's about it.
Yep, really.
All right, and with that, we are done with the summer 2022 season. As we've already said, pretty weak, but let's
I'd
go around the
say,
room.
Yeah, this is solid contender for being worse than winter. What 2020 was it? 2022?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah, this year.
Yeah, it's been looking like a pretty, unfortunately, kind of weak showing for new anime this year.
Nah, this season was fire. Best season out there.
For real. Oh, God.
All of the good shit is like sequels.
Yeah, to be honest.
I mean,
really.
hey, I guess I haven't watched Maid in Abyss season 2 yet, so maybe that could salvage it.
Well, I see. That's the thing. I have no doubt Maid in Abyss season 2 is actually anime of the season.
I mean, I really like.
It's unfair to
Yofukashi
compare
no
something I'm
Ucho,
already
but yeah.
invested in to all of these new things.
So I guess who wants to be first for talking about their top 3 and bottom 3?
God. There's
I don't
so
have a
many to
bottom
choose from
three.
for bottom 3, but like,
Yeah.
man, top 3 is gonna be a
If
little
you had
hard.
to pick, if you had to pick just the 3 shows that rubbed your jimmies the wrong
All
way.
right. So
my
my
stepmom's daughter.
wait, what'd you say?
My stepmom's daughter is my ex just because of the name.
Yeah, that will be a bottom 3 for me too. Definitely that shoot to cringe future, whatever it's called. That shit to cringe future. I don't
Cringe
know what
to the
the fuck
future.
the soccer anime. That's definitely a bottom 3. And then last one. Jesus Christ, which one do I put here? There's so many to choose from.
What was the worst?
I mean, I kind of like. I mean, I guess you can just go ahead and throw in that other Hanabi-chan one. I was like, don't care. You know, it's 4 minutes.
Would you call that the worst show of the season?
Did I enjoy it? Nah. Well, actually, you know what? The worst show of the season. I'll actually add in that idol anime, the Shine Post one that I didn't even watch. I'll throw that in there.
You didn't even watch it. It's the worst.
Obviously. For the best ones though, for my top 3, I will probably have to do, let's see, Eurodeco.
Yeah,
honestly, loved it. Pretty good show. Isekai Ojisan, another goated show, and then the last one I will choose. It's either between Call of the Night or what's it called? Licorice is Licorice.
Licorice
Yeah,
Recoil?
Licorice Recoil. Licorice.
yeah.
Whatever. I can't pronounce it right.
You about to call it Licorice Biscuit?
Biscuit, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to. Call
Crunchy,
it
I
that.
know your ass did not just confuse Licorice Recoil with Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
Wait.
I guess I got it in my head because they're both food,
Oh yeah.
and I call
Biscuit,
it
licorice.
I call it licorice recoil. I know it's supposed to be licorice, but I refuse
Licorice
to call it
recoil.
that.
Crunchy, next time I see you compare those 2 shows in any way, it's on site.
Yeah. I would say Licorice Recoil would be
Okay.
the other top 3 for me.
Okay, so
Oh, yeah, wait. Which one was your favorite?
Out of
Was it Yuri Deco?
Eurodeco anime of the season.
Okay.
oh,
Alright.
okay.
Doublets, bro. Doublets.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
How
That's
about
what I'm
you,
saying.
All right, so
Luke.
I'm gonna start. Do you
I was
Luke,
gonna ask him. Do you have the same opinion as me? Same list as me?
Well, not same, but I agree with the Eurydeco.
Yes, sir.
All right, Luke, do you have your list ready?
For me,
Yeah.
oh, I got my bottom 3. So my bottom 3 would be, so the stepmom is my ex. Phantom of the Idol, the one with the like ghost stuff, and then the maid I hired recently. That is bottom 3 for me. Top would be Isekai, Yuri Deco, and maybe it's between the licorice one, the licorice one, and then the pharmacy one.
Damn,
The
Call of the Night
pharmacy
didn't
one?
even crack the top 3.
Whoa.
Cause Eurodeco, bro. It's an honorable mention. It's an honorable mention.
Yeah, Call of the Night, honorable mention.
All right, so I'm gonna trigger Neon Manta here, but my number 3 best show is Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, purely off the back of that script. I'm not continuing it.
Okay.
It is
It's-
a horrible production values, but it was entertaining purely on a script level.
I am only offended in the sense that you putting it on your top 3 means that actually one of the few good shows from this season got snuffed because of it.
Licorice Recoil. Like I see the competent writing, but it just didn't vibe with me. So number 2 is obviously I think everyone knows my top 2. Isekai Ojisan number 2, Yofukashi no Uta number 1. I love Yofukashi no Uta. I've seen all 3 episodes that are out right now. It's moi. As for the bottom 3, it was so close that I want to add 2 honorable mentions real quick in the form of Luminous Witches, because Shaft is dead and that saddens me, and the maid I hired recently is Mysterious, because it is so repetitious. But it was insufferable, but at least I can see that one being tolerable enough in the long run if you really gave it a watch. As for the bottom 3, number 3 worst is going to be My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex, because that sent me. It was very, very difficult to watch, made me very angry. Number 2 is Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World, because its entire existence is pointless. And number 1 would be My Isekai Life. And the reason why is because it is a completely generic power fantasy that I, for some reason, watched an entire episode of. And having seen an entire episode of it saddens me.
Alright, well, for my top 3, I have to give a very special shout out, honorable mention to Yurei Deko. Third place was a war in my head. I was like, I could go either way. It honestly depends on if I'd watched the second episode of either of them. They were roughly of equal quality to me. Call of the Night and Yurei Deko. I was like going back and forth because they both have their own unique strengths and weaknesses. I had to give the slightest of edges to Call of the Night, if only because I have a better grasp on where it's going and can see like exactly what point it's trying to make a little more at this juncture than Yurei Deko. But I have no doubt that both of them are good, and I wouldn't even be surprised if by the time I finish both of them, I end up liking Yurei Deko more than Call of the Night. Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Good to know that you have taste.
Number 2.
Good to know you have taste.
Yeah, dude, I am so enamored by the designs of Yurei Deko. I've been watching the OP recently because it's a bop. Well, it's more of a banger because like the song is like it goes
it goes hard. No, yeah, it's that shit you listen to in the club and you bop to it. Yeah.
I'm also just 100% in love with the design of the hacker girl, who just is like constantly has a big ass shit eating grin on her face. Very, very good design. Second best, I'd say, is definitely Isekai Ojisan. It comes from a place of passion. It comes from it's taking the long overdead, horse-beaten trope of isekai and actually doing something, maybe not the most clever idea in the world, but it's doing something fun, it's doing something entertaining, and that's infinity times more fun and entertainment that I derive from most isekai. So there's that. And then best show, definitely Licorice Recoil. I feel like the writing, it's the total package. It's got the writing, it's got the animation, it's got the premise, it's got the themes. I feel like it's gonna be one that has something to say and also have fun doing it. Even more so than something like Call of the Night or maybe even Yurei Deko. But we'll see. As for my bottom 3, this one was a little harder to go through because so many of these shows could be put in the bottom 3. I thought about putting Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer in the bottom 3, but I don't want to disrespect. Mizukami has been put through enough. He's suffered enough. Third worst is Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World because it fails at being a sexy lewd show and it fails at being an interesting TV show on its own. So it's a lose-lose situation. You're not even if you treat it like a World's End harem and you're only there for the titty. There's like barely any titties. Like, what's the point? Shoot Goal to the Future, cause it's just yet another entry in awful sports anime that don't need to exist and probably shouldn't have existed. And the worst show is Black Summoner, not because it is the technically worst show, but it's the one that's made me sick of everything. And I'm just sick of the whole isekai thing. And I think this was the one that finally made me realize that I'm just done.
I think we're all done with that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like thinking back on it, I feel like me and Neon had the same experience with Neon's experience.
Different shows.
Yeah, different shows. Like Neon had it with Black Summoner, and I had it.
Or
with
are they the same
Isekai.
show?
They could be.
And that's exactly the problem.
Well, Black Summoner was a little better, but I mean, like, not much.
You're comparing an apple with 2 worms in it to an apple with 1 worm in it.
That is.
I do not
fairly
want
true.
to eat either of these apples.
Precisely.
Alright, and with that, we have concluded the summer 2022 anime podcast. Austin, Lude, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on YouTube, on youtube.com/thegreataustini, and on Twitter as well with The Great Austini, but with the 1 at the end.
You can also find me on The Great Austini on YouTube and Great Austini 1 on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. This is my second channel, by the way.
Oh my god, are these the same people?
Yes.
Yes.
Have we been fooled the whole time?
More than likely.
It's some very advanced puppetry.
Bro, it just happened, man. It just happened.
It happened.
He can throw his voice all the way to Great Britain.
And to talk over him, he's got 2 different Discord accounts open, and is able to
Multitasking,
somehow layer his voice on top of his own.
Yeah, he hacks the other computer in Great Britain, and then throws his voice all the way over there, while also hacking.
But is there a channel, a channel like maybe a Saber of the Kyo variety that you could
That's
plug?
my second channel.
There's yeah.
No, come on, Luke.
the
Come on,
links
Luke.
to-
Plug it.
Oh,
Plug it.
you actually want me to say it? Oh, my
Yeah.
bad. Yeah. My bad. Yeah, there's a second channel called Kyo Saber, and it's the same on Twitter. My bad, not Instagram. Twitter.
Yeah, all links will be in the description. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Austin's channel, to Crunchy's channel, to Lute's channel. Let's follow all the Twitters. Crunchy's on Twitter now, finally.
I mean, I barely use it, but it
Yeah,
does
when you're back.
exist.
It's better that way. Just don't use it at all.
I have a book that exists, so you can go read it if you want. I'll continue forcing Neon to put it in the description of everything, because I need people to read it. Other than that, I've got
And if
nothing.
you enjoyed the podcast, leave a like, head on down to the comments, let us know what you thought about the shows this season, and check out everyone's channels and socials. Alright, I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
I'm Luke.
We were supposed to say our names.
Yeah, I was leading you guys
My
in.
brother in Christ. All right, and I'm the Great Austini.
And you'll see us next time.
Bye-bye.